Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday morning, we're bringing value from 9 to 10. Sometimes it's top producing loan officers, authors, leaders. Today, it is a coach and an industry leader, Khai McBride. What's up, Khai?
Hey, good to be back again.
No, we were
Always
just
a long time.
It has been a very, very long time. We were reminiscing before we went live, everyone, that I think I interviewed Khai for the first time in 2006. Does that sound right, Khai?
Yeah, 2006. It was right before Business Plan 2007, the big loan toolbox event.
Yeah,
that's where we met really in person.
Yeah, and at that time, well, I don't think the word millennial was a thing.
No.
You were the next generation. You looked like you were about 16.
Yeah.
How old would have been in 2006?
2006, I was 23.
Yeah,
No, 2006, I was 33.
Okay, so
Yeah.
super young, and he looked like 25, so he looked really young.
Probably look 33 now.
Young, and he was, like the next big thing. He was killing it. He was a mortgage coach. He was innovating with Mortgage Coach, and then Khai has become one of the industry's top coaches, one of the most respected coaches, and someone who, Khai, I really think you've not only mentored and coached a lot of loan officers, but you've helped transform the industry. So I'm grateful to you, brother.
Yeah, thanks. It's, before we got on, I told Dave, I said, it's like, and I need to think of a new person for the younger people, but it's like being Madonna or whoever, who transcends different decades of reinventing yourself, but staying relevant to the market. The thing that I really want to talk about today is that the market has changed a lot, but it's not just the market. Consumers have changed, generations have changed, the economy has changed. Just everything has changed. And we can't continue to hold on to the ways we've been doing things, 20 years ago. There has to be shifts in our approaches because there's already shifts in the market. There's shifts in lifestyles, consumerism, everything. And even us to stay relevant. I mean, it was Mortgage Coach. Now you've got Trust Engine, you've got, Sales Boomerang. And we were pulling up old PDFs of the old Mortgage Coach that I used to use and how far it's come since then, right? So you have to stay relevant. You have to evolve. Yeah. That's why I do a lot of webinars called Evolve or Die.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I want to get your opinion on something. I feel like this is an extra transformational year in mortgage housing because my whole career rates, which is 37 years, rates have gone down, and now they went down to 2%, and it was a $4 trillion year. And then the next year they were in the threes, a $4 trillion year. So 63% of every mortgage in America starts with 2 or 3%. So I feel like we really need to deliver advice, and we have to be data driven if we want to survive and thrive in this next whatever you want to call this era, this new era in mortgage. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, the thing is that we have opposing forces, right? So we have interest rates really low, but the thing is that interest rates don't have to be super low. Interest rates can be anywhere in the sub sixes. And then all of a sudden, when there's a shift in the market, there's not enough inventory. The thing is that inventory is down 75% right now. So there's only 25%. So if you look at mortgage volume is down 40%, 60% because real estate volume is down that much. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, just new construction is down 75%, but you have this whole two generations of millennials and Gen Z that's coming in. So millennials make up 85 million in the population. And it's not like the boomers have died off, the boomers are still alive. So they're still holding on to their houses. So you have this new generation of millennials, and you have late millennials because most millennials, when they came out of college, they didn't start their careers right away because of the recession. So they're kind of coming in late to the market. So you have this surge of home buyers. And then you have the Gen Z generation, which is 60 million. So that's 145 million possible home buyers. And so if you notice that anytime there's a tick in the market, all of a sudden we go to 10 to 15 offers on a property. There's just not enough inventory. So you have to be extremely competitive in sales, but it also forces you to do what I want to talk a lot about today is what kind of marketing presence you have, because I think sometimes we're too caught up in sales only, and it's really what gets us stuck in this cycle. And we're in this like repetitive cycle of either good or bad. And then we're just chasing sales. We're chasing up markets and down markets instead of creating our own market through marketing.
So how many people do you say that were potential home buyers? What was that number that you just gave?
So there's 85 million millennials roughly, and there's 60 million Gen Z. So Gen Z is about like the 27 and under, right? Like millennials, can you believe it? Millennials are 40 years old, right? So they're going to make up the majority. They're going to make up the majority of the home buyers now. And then you got younger Generation X. Okay. So I'm like mid-Generation X. But you know, the boomers are kind of staying put. Gen X has been taught to hold and rent. And then you have corporations having the audacity to come in and buy and rent as well too. So what does that leave us for this generation? What does that leave us in terms of homes for people to buy? So everything is going to be extremely competitive. And so you have to really shift the way you do sales, and you have to shift the way you do marketing. And it also changes because like per capita, realtors have less transactions. And so sales tactics are less effective because what used to be effective, 15 years ago, I could say I only needed 10 to 15 realtors to do 100 units a year. It's not even close. You need 50 to 60 realtors to do that many units a year, because some realtors are barely doing 1 to 3 transactions a year. I mean, MMI is like a huge tool today. And I look at some of my top producers, I MMI'd a lot of them. All my top producers that do between 100 to 200 units a year, it's close to 50 to 100 realtors. And over 50% of them are just giving 1 transaction a year. So you can have this really great presentation with a realtor, but they don't have business to give you, And so that's why I say that like really the shift needs to happen because of the generation, because of housing inventory, but also just because per capita, there's not enough housing. And so we have to look at different things like being licensed in multiple states and just really casting a wider net, and that's really what I want to cover today, because in order to get ahead of the market, you have to create a market for yourself. And I think most people don't create a market. What they do is they just chase sales. And it's not really anybody's fault, because that's what we've been taught over the last 20 years. But we have to kind of wake up and recognize that the industry is changing dramatically.
Yeah.
And the new generation, how they approach it is dramatically different.
Yeah, no. And it's some of the things I called it expanding marketplaces. But when I did my year-end review and I came up with the 6 mega trends that $100 million producers are doing in this market, one of them, number 4 was expanding markets, and they're either driving further, so it used to be a half hour to an hour from my house. I was good. Now, double it, triple it. And then I'm seeing a lot of top producers completely move. Like, hey, I own the market share in Denver, but I want to live in Newport Beach. And I interviewed actually $200 million producer, Jessica Uphoff. And the whole time I was talking to her in prep, I thought she was in Denver, because that's where she's a market share leader, is in Denver. And she's like, oh no, in 2020, my family and I moved to Newport Beach. I live around the corner from you. And I'm like, how's it going? She's like, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that a lot. So let's go. Like the headline, you and I went back and forth, and I think I said, you said getting ahead of the market, and I said getting ahead of this market, and then I think you said getting ahead of the market once and forever.
Once and for all. Yeah.
Once and for all.
Yeah.
So,
once and for all.
So walk me through what that means to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to screen share my nice iPad. This is like my favorite piece of technology right now. So right now, if you look at the market, most loan officers really, really focus on sales. And the thing about sales is that there's a one-to-one limitation. Okay. And so what happens is that when the market goes like this, and let's just say that you're really, really good at sales. And one of the things that, if you look at like the disciplines of top loan officers, it's always about a discipline of what they do every single day. So let's just say, for example, that you're really good discipline and you're making your 50 calls a day. The thing about making 50 calls a day is that if you're making 50 calls a day, which is here, okay, if you're going to make 50 calls a day, understand that you're still going to go up and down with the market, right? So if you're constant here and the market's here, you're still going to have up markets and down markets. So what happens is that if this is 50 calls right here, Well, in a down market, you're going to have to make 100 calls. And in an up market, you're going to have to make like 20 calls. So this would be like a refi market where you really don't have to make very many calls. But in a down market, you have to make 100 calls. And so when you're extremely sales focused only, you're subject to the market. You're subject to the market. And so what that is that's this area down here. And what I try to explain to people is the way to get ahead of the market. And I feel like it's been lost is we have sales, which is 1-to-1 is marketing, because marketing is really what creates markets up here, because marketing is 1-to-many. So 1-to-X. To give you an example, if I were to make one sales call, it takes a certain amount of time. If I were to make 50 sales calls, it's 50 times the effort. If I were to make 100. So whenever we're in up and down markets, I'm going to have to like increase or decrease my effort. So right now in this market, we're being told, make more sales calls, because that's what it's requiring in the market. But I think a lot of people honestly are kind of burnt out by that. You know, it's like we're making triple, quadruple, 5 times the amount of calls. And it feels like we're actually doing less because there's not enough out there. Like realtors don't have enough business. And so we never feel like we're getting ahead of the market, you know, unless you can really replicate yourself and do 20 times the amount. Even top producers right now, all of them, whether it's Jeremy or anybody, you know, even the MortgageCoach community, they're doing probably 3-4 times the work and they can still be down 20-30%. You see what I'm saying? So how do you really expand that exponentially? Well, the difference between marketing is that it doesn't create any more effort to market to one person versus 50 people versus 1,000 people. If I were to send a marketing piece out, it's still one click of the send. It's still one post. It's still one video. So I have really an exponential reach of what I can do when it comes to marketing. Okay. The only amount of work that is required, which is a finite amount of work, is creating that audience. So there is work to get from 1 to, let's say, 10,000 in the audience, but that's finite. Like once you create your followers, once you create your email list, once you create those relationships, that's finite. But from there, I can then market. It takes the same amount of effort to market to 10,000 people as market to 1, versus it takes 100 times the effort to sell to that, right? And so marketing is really, I think, what's missing in the industry, because marketing allows us to expand, reach, grow our brand. And it allows us to get ahead of the market, because if the market goes like this, you know, marketing is what really allows us to like hit this top end up here. If you look at really the great originators, the ones that are doing like north of 400 loans, and the one that I always think about the most is like a Denise Donahue, mortgage nerd, right? Or Crystal Stern. She's my top client. She did 400 units last year in a down market. It's because
who is that again?
Crystal Stearns. It's because they do a lot of marketing. And by the way, speaking of markets, Crystal did 400 units last year. She's in Colorado Springs. She only did 90 in the state of Colorado. Wow. So in a down market, for her to pull another 310 units in 4 other states, it's because she's expanded her market. Now, the thing about marketing, and I think one of the reasons why we've defaulted to sales, I hear so many people talk about, well, you know what? Your best friend is just to pick up the phone, get an appointment with a realtor, and ask them for business. You know, it's a very age-old philosophy. But the reason why we've had that philosophy is because, I mean, Dave, you and I have been around for a long time. Marketing in the past was really expensive. Print, TV, radio. But in the last 5 years with video, YouTube, social media, I can create a marketing presence. I can create a brand for like less than $1,000. If that, I mean, I can expand my reach to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And so getting ahead of the market is really doing marketing and creating a market for yourself. And marketing also allows us to cross borders. You can create marketing presence in other states without ever having to drive there and have a coffee meeting with a realtor. I mean, you can do that after the fact. Once you've created those relationships, yes, I want to meet people in person, but there's no need for me to have a first conversation. The other thing about marketing is that with really, really good marketing, and when we break down marketing, there's different components of marketing. One is just brand awareness. One is education. One is expertise. And when you have really, really good marketing, it actually takes the pressure off of sales, and sales becomes a lot easier. When you have a reputation and somebody just wants to work with you, a lot of times they'll call you up and say, I've been watching a lot of things that you do. I want to work with you. There's no need for the sales and all the scripting. So without marketing, that's where sales pressure is up. So if you think about cold calling somebody, there's zero marketing there. You remember our good buddy Tom Bass, right? He would have like the 5x5, the 5x5 method. It was like, I would send five postcards over 5 weeks, because that was marketing. That was just him branding himself. So by the time he made the phone call after 5 weeks, they knew who he was. And it was a very simple technique, because back in the day, marketing was really expensive. So what could he afford? He could afford 25 postcards per realtor, right? But we can do so much more now. We can do so much more with Instagram, with Facebook, with videos, with YouTube, with TikTok, with everything out there, to really create our name and our brand.
How do you think of it this way? Because also, one of the things I've always known you for is how you value a database. I mean, you were raised in the industry by Bill Hillstad and Tim Brahim, and no one puts more focus on a database like those guys. How do you, obviously the database is marketing, and something I'm very passionate about, but a lot of the things that you just listed out were like above the database, to fill the database. How do you lead, and how do you balance between database and some of the things that you just listed out?
Well, I can kind of draw it out because it's so visual. So if you look at the different levels, so out here you have outreach marketing, which is like your highest level. And then below that, you have your database marketing, or what I just call big reach marketing. Okay. And then down here, you're going to have so this is for realtors, for example. Okay. If I'm marketing to realtors, and here I'm going to have my one-on-one sales. And then at the bottom, it's going to end with leads. Now in the middle, there's this hybrid section, which I'm going to call marketing sales. And this is what I call large group. It's large group. Okay. So the goal of outreach marketing is what I'm talking about. This is where you're really creating your brand, you're adding to your database, you're educating, you're going out mass. And then what that does is that then filters into the people that are really following you, the people that are really interacting with you, the people that are viewing your posts, the people that are creating relationships. And this is going to be a smaller number. So, with outreach marketing, you're going to just go wide, and there's not really a number. You're just going to go wide, and hopefully you can get your database down to, so I always ask people this: how many realtors are you marketing to on a weekly basis? Okay. And you'd be surprised that most people are going to say 50 to 100, I asked Denise this question, Denise Donahue, how how many people she markets to like on a regular basis, just in her realtors? 6,000. Wow. So if you wonder why Denise did 600 units last year, it's because she markets to 6,000 people in her database on a regular basis. And so I ask everybody this question. I mean, you need to be marketing to a minimum of 500 realtors from a database marketing point of view. And it's going to start from your outreach marketing. Okay. Then from here, this is where I think a lot of people struggle, is they say, okay, well, I market to my database. I send them stuff, and I'm waiting for people to call. And the reason why it's not really working is because people treat marketing almost like it's a sale. Like if I send something to my database, I want them to call me, and it's going to immediately shoot down into a lead this way. But there's an intermediate step, which is large group. And this is where you're going to want to create. So right here, this is like one-way interaction. Okay. You're basically like pushing information out. To go from one-way interaction to two-way interaction, it's like this huge leap of faith, and especially for a consumer that wants to reach out to you. And you can have like the best video, you can have the best marketing piece, but for a consumer to say, I want to call this person about a mortgage, it takes a big step. Maybe they're not ready. So there's an intermediate step which helps, which is marketing, which is like the hybrid. It's marketing large group. And that's either like a Facebook group or classes, okay, webinars, things like that, it's much less threatening for you then to get people to go to that and then to push them this way. It's like, it's the educational piece. It's getting 20, 30 realtors to get to a class. You're going to teach them something. You're going to interact with them, because now there's interaction, and now there's an establishing of trust, but still without the commitment. But it's interactive, right? Then from there, if anybody that's ever done a class, you'll then notice that now it's a lot easier to move to one-to-one sales, where you can actually get that appointment with them. And then that will turn into a lead. And what all this is, if you want to use common terms, is that this is a marketing funnel that looks like this. Okay. So if we ever heard the terms marketing funnel, sales funnels, that's really what it is. It's understanding how you go really, really wide to pretty wide to medium wide to narrow to narrow. And I think when a lot of people think about marketing, they get it wrong, because what they want to do is they try to do this here and they try to move it straight down to here, but that's not really marketing, that's sales. Because you're treating everything like sales. It's like you're doing one-to-one sales and then you're doing like 500-to-1 sales. But marketing really has a different purpose. Marketing has a purpose of establishing the relationship and then creating value and then interacting and then pitching, and then you have the lead. Okay. And this is taught a lot actually in the real estate world. I mean, I've been to Mike Ferry seminars, Dave, and when you look at like the cycle of a home buyer, when a realtor first meets a potential home buyer, they could be anywhere from a year to 3 years away. So you have to nurture that relationship from when there's just interest to, I'm trying to remember his 4 stages, but it's like interest to preparation to, qualifying to then shopping, right? And you have to nurture that entire sales funnel all the way down. And I think originators, we haven't really been trained to do that, because we've been taught to sit at the very, very bottom of the funnel and basically ask the realtors for business. Like we're making the realtors do all the work, taking these people down this 3-year funnel. And then we're going to sit at the bottom, take them out for coffee and say, hey, I'm really, really good. Will you give me business? Okay. But I don't want to say that necessarily the tables have turned, because we still need realtors to do business, but there is a huge advantage for us, because with marketing tools today, we can now market to consumers as well because of the marketing tools that we have. And so now we can go out there and we can create brand awareness, we can create education, we can create interactive webinars, and we can do it collaboratively with our realtors. And a lot of realtors don't really know and understand how to do this. I mean, ask your realtors if they've done Zoom webinars for home buyers or first-time home buyers. And especially if you're niche, like if you're like a VA person, that education is huge. You should really be branding yourself as the expert, educating, and then taking them to webinars and then being involved with your realtors. I think niches like that are even better. Or if you're doing investment properties, you're doing, duplexes, anything like that, vacation homes. And
let me ask a couple questions, because I want to nail this, and I also want to put it within our framework here at Trust Engine, because it's a whole new, day at Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang.
Yep.
And tell me how you would edit this. From our perspective, one of the biggest mistakes that the lending industry makes is they think of the database, it's my past customers. And I have been interviewing the top producers at every major platform. And one of the things I noticed is that especially the top users at top loan officers at companies that have both Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, they look at their database as past customers. Yeah. Leads. They're always trying to adopt databases from their partners. It's their active pipeline. It's their realtors and referral partners, and they're monitoring that data. Then of course, people that haven't qualified. So really, while they're, to your point, outreach is a thing, there is something above this. But I think one of the biggest mistakes I see when I look at different loan officers, and people that are really killing it with Sales Boomerang. It's like, to Denise's point, she's got 6,000, they have 10,000 records, but it includes all of these. And then they're also turning their database into a competitive advantage at the point of sale. Like, I don't know if you saw any of my interviews with Wally Elderberry, but Wally is being incredibly successful at getting databases from insurance agents, and making a whole value prop that, hey, give me your database. I'm an advisor. I'm going to pull more business out of this database than you are. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So acquiring databases, that's the outreach that I'm talking about, right? So he's building his database, because once he builds his database, now he can market to that database and bring value to the database. So when I look at the drawing that you showed me, that sits on one level, and I have my official drawing of this. You know, the drawing that this is the model that I coach. So what you drew kind of sits in here. You know what I mean? Like, that whole diagram could sit in here. But to build those, right? To build those past clients, to build those realtor relationships, that's what Wally's doing. So Wally's up here. Okay, Wally's up here. Let me use a skinnier pen. Wally's up here acquiring. Okay, and he's building lists, and that feeds into that database. If that feeds into that diagram. Okay, and so the reason why I say that sits here is because whether it's a past client, a realtor, you have to look at them as home buyers. Even, you know, when I ask people, like, how big is your database? They say, well, do you mean my past clients or my realtors? I'm like, realtors buy homes too. Like, every single person everybody's eligible to buy a home. So the question is, I don't really look at them as like past or realtors or prospects. It's, where are they in the home cycle? You know, where are they in the home cycle? So the way that I see it is that, and this is what I learned from Tom Ferry, is that the buying cycle, like, if the buying cycle up here is like 3 years, you know, and this gets down to like 1 year, and then this gets down to like 1 month, and this gets down to now, that's really what it is. And so what you're doing is you're marketing to all these people, but as they get closer, they're going to want to then get a little bit more engagement in a non-threatening way, preferably like in a Zoom, a webinar, something like that, a Facebook group, so they can get a little bit of information and not feel completely sold on anything. And then it'll come down to here, and they'll reach out. And so it's just this big funnel. What happens is, then it's a lead, but when they close, they're just going to go back up to here, and you're just going to market them for the next 3 to 5 years. The one thing that I've learned about database marketing is that this is the rule for database marketing. Okay. So remember, the average homeowner is going to get a loan every 5 years. Okay. So if it's every 5 years, that means 20% of your database is going to get a loan this year. Okay. So if you have 1,000 people in your database, 200 will get a loan this year. If you can convert 50% of that, which is basically a 10% pull through, you can do 100 loans. And so I look at people and I say, well, if you want to do 100 loans, the goal is to get to a database of 100 people that you can market to on a regular basis. Now, this is where I think, when it comes to marketing, this is where I think it gets really, really interesting, is that consumer direct is always this debate, because am I going to market consumer direct? I want to take the realtor out of the equation, but there's still always going to be a realtor in the equation. Even if you go consumer direct, there's going to be a buying agent. There's going to be a listing agent. And also, it's about leverage. It's about leveraging the realtor relationships. And so I want to market to consumers, but I also want to market to agents that they're going to take my marketing post and they're going to share it. They're going to go viral, because they're still going to refer me business. Because here's the reality. If I market to 1,000 agents, because each one of those agents has between 50 to 300 people in their database, I'm still going to get a wider reach than marketing to 1,000 direct consumers.
So I want to net something out, guys. We're right at halftime. And I truly believe that what we've shared, if you execute on what I'm going to say next, you will be ahead of the market once and for all. So pull up that diagram one more time. It showed, where it was your plan. It was the fully baked, funnel. Okay. So I want to put a little marker on this. So guys, tell me if you agree with this. If you really absolutely nail this, you've got a great CRM and you're actually putting data in it. It is being monitored by Sales Boomerang. It integrates with MortgageCoach so that you're delivering a data-driven advice experience. Everything else works. Like if you don't have what I just said covered right there, one, you're running a race uphill with the wind at your face. So you're going to have a lot more people. You're going to have a lot more confidence when you talk to people if you nail this. And then, of course, if you really nail this, you can be successful with these. Like if you don't have your data nailed, it's not going to be as easy to have a successful, engaged Facebook group. You're not going to be able to drive these events. Your conversion rate down here won't is high. So it's like all of these steps are important, but like
it starts there. It starts there.
This is the one, and here's the deal. I want every loan officer, if you can stop sharing your screen real quick. I want you to score yourself right now, like 1 out of 10. Where do you rate? Like, as far as that part. And by the way, put it in chat. Like if you're watching this live in either our Facebook group, I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, like Wally Illiberry is a 10. Denise Donahue is a 10. The loan officers that I interview that are absolutely killing it. They're calling all their alerts. Every family's getting a TCA. They're let's just say if I asked them, they would all say I'm a 7, I'm an 8. None of them would call themselves 10s, but I could call them 10s because compared to the industry. So where are you at? Put that in chat. And then while we're waiting, I want to get your opinion on this, Khai, because this is something, our whole, we're building, and I don't know, did you see the event where we rolled out the trust engine a week and a half ago?
I was not on that event.
Okay, so we rolled it out, but the whole premise of a trust engine is built on this right here, to help a loan officer turn their database into consistent, reoccurring volumes of loans. Now, obviously, the lower rates are, the bigger the faucet is. Rates are high, smaller faucet, but it's still predictable. And then, really where this gets super valuable is when you can turn this into a value prop for realtors. That, hey, realtors and partners, I'm going to be able to deliver something special. And so like our whole strategy is wrapping our technology around a tech stack. And really going from most of the industry, their database is a bunch of noise, to, hey, what if we could actually predict which of your clients are most likely to need a loan? And then we could integrate that with MortgageCoach. Like this is something we're working really hard on. You're going to like this, Khai, as a data nerd, that, you've got the number of records in your database, you've got your conversion potential. And then of course, in that database, some of those prospects are more profitable and more probable to do a loan. And right now, most databases are non-differentiated. But what if, and this is what we're doing, you could differentiate the database so that we can literally like, hey, which of these alerts and signals should go right to the loan officer? Like loan officer, 911, call these 10 people today. And then let's automate, the other signals in the database. And then, hey, there's some signals in the database where we just want to update the CRM. Like that is an era that we're in the mortgage industry now. Any thoughts on that?
And that's where, and I like the term trust engine, because if you demonstrate those things and you create trust, people are going to come to you because they want you to manage their mortgage. Now, I got a quick story. Dave, do you remember how we met in 2006? It's actually a funny story. It's because I remember I approached you or I messaged you and I had the audacity back then. I said, hey, Dave, Mortgage Coach is like this really, really great sales tool. And you said, thanks. And I said, but you're totally like missing the mark. And you said, what do you mean I'm missing the mark? And I said, because it's a really, really great marketing tool. I said, let me tell you how I built my business, because I'm a marketer. So what I would do is, instead of creating Mortgage Coach presentations at point of sale, I would prep Mortgage Coach presentations, whether it's TCAs or debt consolidations, and I would mail it and email it out to my database so that I can show solutions, but I can also create trust. And for those of you that were like back in the day, what resulted was Dave and I did a collaborative project where we called it the Mortgage Coach Marketing Machine, which we were able to create this PDFs. And I would send that out to like thousands of people on a regular basis. And I was doing things which, I mean, it was tough back then, but today we were doing.
Whoa. Put that back.
Okay.
Back. By the way, everyone earlier, remember when I said he looked like he was 20 something? Look at that picture up there.
Yeah.
How old is that guy? He does not look 33 years old. Like that's 30. A 27-year-old.
Yeah, that was 30 something back then.
Yeah. All right, you can
and you found some videos where I would like one of the strategies that I used was I would market to people around debt consolidation strategies, credit strategies, things like that. And we have all this great technology for that now, which you're bringing in Trust Engine. But I would have to do that manually with soft pulls and manual Mortgage Coach. And that's why I'm saying it's like, I feel like 15 years ago, marketing was so hard because there was so much manual work, and I would have to put out thousands of dollars of mailers on a monthly basis. But we have all of these tools in the Trust Engine. We have emails, we have posts, we have so many things that can get this information to the consumer quickly, that we need to have this resurgence of marketing. And what you said was perfect, because this is what I explain to people, especially when I have this diagram, is that you notice that I've got short-term here. So what's happening is that when you have a short-term mindset, which is fine. Okay. You have short-term and you have long-term mindset. Short-term is like, listen, I don't have any loans in my pipeline and I got to close the loan by like this month or else they're going to turn my lights off. Okay. I get it. If that's the case, you're going to work upstream. You're going to call people, you're going to call realtors, and then maybe you'll get to a class, but you're really working upstream, and you have to prove yourself every single time. And you're working so hard to like fill these classes. But when you do long-term strategies where you're building your list, you're reaching your database, you create your Facebook group, you're doing your classes, by the time you get down here, it's so much easier. And most loan officers have stopped themselves here without doing this. In any good business, you have to balance short-term and long-term. If you're into daily disciplines, if you're into time blocking and things like that, time block your short-term activities because you need business now, but you have to time block the long-term activities that are going to build your database, build your reach, build your brand, build the trust, and use all the tools that are available in the Trust Engine. And then there's something that I call midterm too. People can take this approach where you can take a midterm approach, which is you say, I'm going to come out of the gates firing with classes where you're going to fill the classes with some short-term sales calls, but then you have to market and go this way. So, the thing that I map is like, it's not that there's like a wrong or right way to do business, but I ask people, are you limiting your business? Are you limiting your business by just doing your sales calls every single day? And if you do, you're never going to reach the top end of the market. This is why people down here will never do more than 100 units a year, because there's so much manual effort. Marketing is what's going to really take you to the top. It's going to take you to different states. It's going to take you to different trust levels.
So this is so powerful, guys. And what Khai is sharing, this is how to get ahead of the market once and for all. And just to let you get a little peek into what's possible with technology and what we're doing at Trust Engine, I want to just, you're going to dig this, Khai. I want you to see some of the things. Like, I'm not going to walk through our whole borrower intelligence platform right now, but like, this is the type of thing that is possible in today's world. And with the Trust Engine platform, is that we can really help you guys, can help a lender. I want to go back to this one. Hang on. There we go. to be able to literally notice a trend in a database where conversion rates went down by 33%. And the industry benchmark is X. And guys, we have over 235 lenders. We've got over 40,000 loan officers using our platform. So we know what the industry conversion rates are. We can see that. And then to be able to, if you're a leader on this, to be able to identify that 16 of your 44 branches are responsible. It's not everyone. And really 22 of 81 loan officers impact or responsible for 80% of the reduction in conversion. Like, guys, those are things with a trust engine you can identify. And then in terms of opportunities in your database, Khai early on showed you how many people buy a home every year. Well, guys, while interest rates are at 2 and 3, 63% of mortgages, equity is at an all-time high level. Credit card debt is at an all-time high level. And it's expensive because interest rates are really expensive. So you can identify, like our platform can identify and analyze a database and show exactly how many borrowers qualify. One, they qualify, two, it looks like it makes sense for either a move up or a cash out. And then you can deliver a compelling mortgage coach experience, and you can call. Like, we're at a whole new level, a whole new era of what's possible. And one last thing I want to show you, Khai, just because I know you'll geek out on this, but this is call it the roadmap that we're building out right now. Let me know if you have any thoughts or comments on it. But when you think of the data piece, that started with Sales Boomerang and trigger alerts. But there's a lot of technology. You need to be able to analyze and segment, model and predict, route them. You don't want to overwhelm a loan officer. So there's routing and from a marketing perspective. And then MortgageCoach started with the total cost analysis, but that's what got us to where we're at today. Where we're going in the future is we want to have new, creative, valuable content. Anything that helps a consumer achieve financial freedom faster, we want to have new content. We want to engage that. And then you just need to constantly measure and optimize your platform. Any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, I love that all. The key of this is that when you really look at the tools that you're providing, those tools are relevant. So the different parts of the trust engine, they're relevant at different levels, right? So up here, you're going to have all your data-driven tools, which are going to help you build your list and add value. And then at the bottom, at its simplest, you're going to have your point of sales, where it's going to help you show people like a cost analysis or debt consolidation at point of sale. And in the middle, so what I recommend is that when you're going to use these tools, remember there's 3 levels of engagement. There's a top level, the mid level, and the bottom level. And what I really wanted to point out today is that a lot of people really miss out the middle level, because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of education, there's really a lot of value that these tools can bring you. But what happens is people do it up here in marketing, and they sit there and they go, how come nobody's calling me and coming down to leads? Well, it's because you're missing this middle tier. I think Bill Hart said it. He actually had a post. He said, it's like when you get that sample, it's like when you get that sample food at Trader Joe's, you know what I mean? The idea is like to get a taste of it. Well, you're going to get a taste through marketing. You're going to get a taste of the power of all the things that you're going to give the consumer a taste of all the solutions that you can provide for them. Same with the realtors, but it's still a huge task to get them down to here. So what you really want to do is now offer, okay, I'm holding classes, or come to my Facebook group, or come to my mastermind group, and let me do this with a small group of 5 to 20 people and bring them to more an engaged, interactive state, and then bring them down one level. That's the whole reason why we have funnels is to push people down. Because the biggest mistake you can make with marketing is just to think that marketing goes straight from marketing straight down to one-to-one. And so you're going to go sample taste up here, and then you're going to do like your little, cooking sample where you really get to show the people the power of that. If you're going to talk about debt consolidation, for example, because you're going to send out, debt consolidation pieces, have a debt consolidation class, have a credit class. That will get people one step one step closer. And what I like about your tools is that they work at all levels. It's just what I'm trying to get people to recognize is there are 3 levels to begin with. And I think that people don't see it as a stack. You know, people have this is how I think most people's brains work. They look at business like this. This is them. Oops, that's supposed to be a stick. That's supposed to be a stick figure. Let me do that again. So this is like your loan officer, and we're being told to do this, 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 like all these things. And then we're supposed to have like a time block and a daily discipline. And all of a sudden, every single day, loan officers are waking up going, I got to do all these things. I got to do things. I just want people to recognize that there's a flow to it. You know, you start up here, you use the tools to create brand awareness, to educate, and then you bring them to an interactive group where you can start to create more trust, show some examples, help them out, and then it goes down. Everything flows this way. And like, again, remember, this is the cycle of home buying. If this is 3 years, this is 3 months, and this is 3 minutes, then what happens is when this is done, just shoots back up to the top. And you create brand, and, you know, 5 years later, the market's going to be different when somebody's going to get into the loan in a different market where they're going to move, and they need to get re-educated. How many loan officers have talked to that bar that says, oh, I know what I need. I've bought a home before. I'm like, you bought a home 3 years ago. That's a 2019 market. That's a completely different market than today. So I have to re-educate people again, you know? So come to my home buyers class. Let me re-educate you. Let me bring up my tools and let me show you all these things. And it's just understanding how really a marketing sales funnel works. And that, again, that's how you get ahead of the market. Otherwise you're swimming upstream. And that was really I was always a big marketer, but MortgageCoach since 2006 was the tool that helped me help people understand better, right? Because visually it just has all the explanation. And then now you have all the data points with Sales Boomerang. You're going to get notified of this change and that change. And so it automates a lot of that for you. And it's extremely powerful at all the different levels.
So let's net some things out and then do some Q&A. So to me, guys, this is the tech stack of the future. And it's also a tech stack of today. You know, like these are all the different technology providers. For all you that work at big companies, you know, these are the technologies that your company has picked. And we want to wrap around that so that one, you've got this ever presence of, you know, which loans or which customers in my database need a loan. And you're not only being able to be super proactive and actually predict and schedule loans, but you're able to educate. But here's the other deal. So really it is just CRM wrapped with the trust engine. But guys, then you need the coaching, you need the know-how, you need the training, because that's the deal, guys. Technology is worthless without using it. And without using it appropriately. So Khai, before you share some of the services you're doing, because I'm going to see you next week at the Mortgage Summit, I do want to do a little shout out for that, guys. And then Khai, I'm going to hand it to you to tell how, you know, all the different ways that you add value and you help people. If anyone wants to go to savageinsights.com, this is where I carry all my links. So there is a link to the Modern Mortgage Summit next week. If your executive team wants to schedule a strategy session on Trust Engine, you know, there's a link down bottom. But Khai, what are your thoughts on this year's Modern Mortgage Summit? I know you're personally attending. Why do you think it's an important event for people to either attend virtually or in person?
Well, I mean, because it's the shift. I mean, every single person you have here has addressed the shift in the market, the shift in technology, the shift in approaches in some way. And you're going to learn the things. There isn't anybody on that list that I've seen that is doing the same thing from 5, 10, 20 years ago, just over and over and over again. Everybody has a new angle. And I think if you take the aggregate of that, you're going to go into this new market. And again, think combination of marketing and sales. You got to create your own market, but sales is extremely important now. We can't get away with just thinking that we can do simple meetings with people. I mean, there's so much tech. Here's the main thing. Here's the main shift. if you look at millennials and Gen Z, they consume information a lot differently. They want information that's visual. They want to see videos. And even after they hang up the phone with you, they're going to vet you. They're going to Google you. They're going to look at your, they're going to look at your social. They're going to look at your online reviews. So you have to have a complete modern technological presence. They're going to go viral. They're learning so many things from different places. And so your presentation, so is your presentation modern to fit today's consumer? You know, again, millennials are 40 years old right now, and they want to see half of things on their smartphone. They want to see things on, on social. They want to see things on YouTube. And so you have to be visually prepared to present to them and to show them value.
So guys, it's next Thursday. So a little more than a week from now, like 8-9 days from now, Khai, myself, and 60 leaders in the mortgage space will be there. There's still a few tickets left for anyone who wants to be there in person. It does max out at 60, and I do think it will max out any day now. But you can still get a few tickets, and then it's $100 to watch it virtually. So check that out. So Khai, dude, you are such a gift to the industry. And as I said earlier, you've really helped transform the industry to make loan officers better marketers, help really turn loan officers into mortgage advisors. You know, tell us how you're coaching, how you're training, for anyone that wants to learn from you. What's the best way for them to do that, and what are you doing nowadays?
So what I recommend is I do a series of webinars called Evolve or Die. And I really think that we have to evolve or die, or we're going to die as an industry. So if you go to Evolve or Die webinar, I offer their 2-session webinars. And that's really like an introduction to, not an introduction, but it's basically what I talked about today, but I'm going to elaborate a lot more about strategies and marketing strategies toward realtors and consumers, how to really evolve into the new marketplace. And it's a easy, more affordable way to really get to know me without committing to full coaching. And then from there, if you go to my website, McBride.com, if you're then ready for full coaching, we can talk about that. But just like with consumers, you know, I don't want to all of a sudden bombard people with like, okay, you want to learn this. Let's get into some full coaching contract. I wanted to provide a way that was very affordable, easy for people to, in a 2-hour session, really get deeper into a lot of these strategies. So Evolve or Die webinar, the next one that I'm having is March 8th next week for 2 sessions. And then from there, if you're interested anymore, we can talk about full coaching. But that's also my way of really teaching a broader audience, you know, at a more affordable, quicker level, because I'm not just trying to get a lot of coaching contracts. I'm trying to start a movement, or I'm trying to be a part of the movement, right, toward a modern originator. And I'm very, very passionate about, you got to evolve or you're going to die. I mean, if you want to continue to stay in your market, continue to be pressed, and only appeal to an older generation because you're using older techniques, you're going to get squeezed out of the market pretty soon.
So guys, this is what it looks like. I love the visual.
That's what it feels like. That's what 2022 felt like. Right?
Yeah, who can relate? Like this is what it feels like in the mortgage space. I just can't recommend anything and everything that Khai does enough. So go check this out. I love that you made it a super affordable opportunity for folks. I guarantee this will be an incredible value. There was a question in here from someone, I don't know if it was in Facebook, but Paul Hurley said, does Khai have a marketing plan specifically for real estate agents?
Yeah, again, as much as we want to go consumer direct, I still like to focus on realtors first because it's about leverage. And so I would say that most of my focus is realtors. And I actually have a specific plan, if you attend the Evolve or Die, that will show you how to get in front of 50 to 80 realtors in 2 months. Of the top, like, I will show you how to get in front of the top 100 realtors in your area within 2 to 3 months in a Zoom and face-to-face format without having to cold call, knock on their doors, and take them for coffee. Because I don't want to have 100 coffee meetings. I like Starbucks, but not that much. But there are much more efficient ways to do it, and I lay that out step by step in that webinar.
All right, guys. So you've got a link, Brett Adams. So Mortgage Coach and the presentation is going to always be available to brokers, to individual loan officers. But when it comes to data and doing, data science and doing the kind of work we do, that's not something that a loan officer could do. So that is a platform for an enterprise. And even a lot of the things I was showing you, it's not just plug and play, click a button here. Like it's like having a data science team. So I wish we could, some of the things I'm showing you, I could do for individual loan officers, but we can't. So introduce us to your managers, and we're whatever business model, broker, banker, depository, we're friends with all of them and we work with all of them. Of course, smaller brokers might have a challenge with data science because they just don't have the team and the resources. But so hopefully that answers your question. Can you put a link? I just put a link in there. Thomas Meister, he said he loves the value creation era. And we are, guys, two things. You want to get ahead of the market and you want to do it once and forever. Be valuable. If your value is your price and you close loans on time and you close them fast, that is a dated value proposition. The machine can do that, AI can do that, and all those things will do that. But if you can create value and strategy for people and you can educate people and then you can manage and build a brand, I think of the outreach as, creating a brand. And then I think your database is building that brand.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing too. And I do have a hard stop in 2 minutes, but one of the things that we have to remember is the technology piece. And so I'm not just talking about consumers and the way they consume and them wanting technology, but I'm also talking about our competition. I want you to watch a 28-year-old loan officer coming into the market or 20-year-old loan realtor coming into the market. What's the first thing that they do, Dave? They build an Instagram presence. They build a video presence. They're so fast with technology. It's crazy. So we have to evolve or else we're going to die against our competition. Okay. So for some people that are maybe, what the self-proclaimed geriatric millennials that don't like technology, or maybe the older Gen X boomer generation is like, okay, it's technology. Like, I get it. One of the things in our coaching program is we actually have tech coaches on staff that will help walk you through implementing technology and configuring technology, because we do know for the tech averse, that's probably the thing that's scaring you the most, right? I mean, there's so much information here, but I think I'm the only coaching company that has tech staff that will help people through that. But you have to do that because your competition is coming out. A brand new loan officer today, if I looked at them and I said, you need to use the trust engine tools, you need to create an Instagram presence, they're going to be like, got it, done. And they'll have things up and running within 3 months and they will compete against you. And with lender launch, I mean, like not even 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. I watched my 16-year-old daughter do this video edit like you couldn't believe. She's like, oh, I just did it on my iPhone. It's like, are you crazy? So, I mean, we have other tools like Lender Launchpad. That's a great tool that I love too, which integrates a lot of the mortgage coach presentations. And it's like, that's your competition. And, one of the things that I think that is important about all this is that it levels the playing field, because when you're in a situation where it's all about kind of like that old school conversations and sales, there's a huge disparity between old and new. But I can be a 28-year-old loan officer, first month license with the right tools and the right presence. I can look like I've been doing this for 20 years and you're just going to show off like a star. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'm talking about my former self, but isn't that how I came out on the market? I was like 30 years old and you're like, dude, who's this guy? And it was because I was good at technology and modern. And so you make a mark, and that's what you want to do. You want to make a mark against your competition. So Khai McBride, you are an innovator. You're a game changer. You're a cool dude. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas next week. Anyone that attends Khai's event, let us know in our Facebook group. Let us know the value you're getting from Khai. Khai, I appreciate you, brother. I know you got another meeting to get to. Everyone, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. We also have a new YouTube channel, Trust Engine, which is all around modern leadership for lenders, where we're talking about what it means to be a modern leader. So take care. This call is over. See everybody later.